Hi, everybody. It's Sarah Mae Bates. This is Help Me Be Me. This is an episode. It is a whimsical title for the crumb gatherers and the cake eaters. It's about boundaries. And I think it's especially relevant because the holidays are upon us. And I think for a lot of people, returning to family of origin can be a kind of conflicting process because it brings up a lot of things we're trying to grow out of, especially in our emotional body. And so that this episode is a little bit about that. But it's also about any and all compromised boundary or relationship situations. So if you are a person who's in a relationship where you feel like it's not really aligned with the way it should be and what you want and how you deserve to be treated, but you're kind of accepting less than just as a means to get something out of that person, this is for you as well. I'm going to call you the crumb eaters. And that is because it is in its practice, it's kind of like begging for crumbs over and over again and trying to bargain with this person, saying, like, well, can't I just have a little bit more than the crumbs? I mean, you have so much, and like, if I do it this way, will you give me more than crumbs? And repeatedly that person will kind of show you that they'll say that they're going to give you more than crumbs, but then they'll demonstrate with their actions that they in fact are not going to give you more than crumbs. So outside of that, this episode has quite a bit about just mindfulness in general and practices to help you kind of casually become more mindful. I know that's like a thing that a lot of podcasts talk about, a lot of people talk about. It's kind of like, yeah, I know. Probably hear it every day from some source. The reason I wanted to kind of bring it to top of mind is because mindfulness it's a very low-hanging fruit as a practice for you to just integrate now and then throughout your day. And it very much does translate to a happier and higher level of quality of life than you would expect. Just very simple check-ins throughout the day. So, with that, I want you to just come into your body, intend to come into your body and take a deep breath. I think that's a great way to start any podcast. Take a deep breath, really tune into that breath as it's in your body. And with that, this episode has three parts: the what, the why, and the how, the tools. And I wanted to start this off by just saying that really healthy, positive relationships that are truly loving are built on intent, on sheer heartfelt effort and intent. And outside of somebody being capable and being able to actualize their intent, like that's the other half of it, but don't forget the intent part of it. Like they actually have to be heartfelt in their intention and show up in a genuine way. And if another person in your life is not doing that, we have to boundary how we deserve to be treated, and there need to be consequences for someone if they are not showing up accordingly in our lives. And I say that because I think it's really seductive to want to play house with somebody and I'm going to call them the cake eater. It's really seductive sometimes to want to keep someone in your life and just allow them to eat cake to their heart's content, shovel the cake into their mouths, have all the gifts, all the good things that you bring into their life. And when that person doesn't deserve the cake and they're supported in the repeated cake eating, it is solidifying the fact that they will not change. So you're committing to a loop, and the loop is at your disadvantage. It is at the cost of you. So I oftentimes refer to this as like a negative yin yang, in that it's kind of warped. We keep the system going and going. And I say that because we can change a lot in our lives by simply letting go of what will be and just committing to what we deserve. And that is, I'm hoping where you will end up very soon based on listening to this. But if you're not there yet, totally okay. We all start exactly where we are. And with that, I'll go to part one, the what. So, this is about two things that are interconnected. One is about really being consistent with your boundaries and forcing a bar for treatment for yourself, even though it is not fully in you just yet. So I think a lot of the time when we start to initiate boundaries, we feel really uncomfortable about doing it. We feel incredibly stressed and incredibly triggered by it. And we feel really ridden with guilt and we feel like we're being mean and we get so stressed out about it. But we know that we're coming from a place of like, I can't. I can't allow this thing to happen. I can't allow this boundary to be crossed, but it feels so scary and stressful and mean to set a boundary. Totally normal, and is that's exactly how it'll feel at the beginning. The second thing that this episode is about is really just tuning into your being and your gut and listening to what this little warm space called your body is saying and really recalling the importance of what that body is saying throughout your day, throughout your life, and making decisions based on the feedback that's coming out through your body, especially when your emotions are conflicted and you feel very like overwhelmed by guilt, you feel very triggered by guilt, or there are opposing motives that occur in your life, especially with like family of origin stuff. We often our wires get crossed and we don't know how to feel about what we are moving through. And we might feel longing. We might also feel anger. We might also feel powerlessness. We also might feel love. And then also a feeling of like needing to flee. All of that can make you feel really confused about what the right action to take is. And that's why mindfulness is a really important key part of setting boundaries. Mindfulness can help you take steps to slow down the processes in your body and like just really kind of, I always refer to it as frame fucking. I know people hate when I swear, sorry, but like that's, you're taking things frame by frame and you're slowing them down and you're saying like, what is the content of this overwhelm? What is the thing that my body is trying to tell me? Then we can process, start to see what is catalyzing what, that's catalyzing what, that's catalyzing what, that's catalyzing what, like which emotion is coming from where. And I think we need to get some distance from the trigger itself if we're going to process emotions. But that just the intention is what I think I want you to start with is the intention to tune into your body as the first source of truth as to how to navigate a situation. And sometimes those situations are very muddy and very conflicted in terms of like what the right thing to do is. But your body will tell you, I don't feel safe here. This is making me dysregulated. I don't feel comfortable with this. And that's your job to protect that body and say, like, I'm going to draw a boundary and remove myself from this because I cannot tolerate it and it is not feeling good to me. It doesn't feel healthy to me. I think for a lot of people who have boundary issues and bad boundaries, you have grown up in a place where you are used to making things your fault. You've kind of grown up in a role where you have been really you have thrived based on saying, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make everything okay. I'm going to solve it, of like reading other people's minds, of being a caregiver of some sort, of being the person who makes everything work, over functions. And because of that, we have a very hard time coming into a place of embodiment where we can really default to self-compassion. And that is something that we all have to start to work on and enforce in ourselves is that friendship with the self. And it'll feel a little bit weird and counterintuitive for a while. It'll feel still like selfish and wrong, but that is how you grow emotional health and a compass that can interpret a situation clearly. We have to start with self-compassion and that default to that friendship to ourselves in order to be calm, graceful, loving, and measured toward others. It starts with that internal groundedness in self. And if we don't do that, what we end up being is very reactive, very in a threat state. And we're at the mercy of others. We're defensive toward others. We're always basing decisions off of things that are happening around us. And that is a state I'm going to talk about more in the tools, but I just wanted you to have that context for those things. Part two, the why. Well, we need to tune into the truth of how we feel, including what hurts. And that is how we can act from an emotionally intelligent place and also a physically healthy place, like for everybody. It's the only way we know exactly how to take ourselves out of the controller role, and we can make sure we're acting from a place of holistic best interests for all. And I think when you grow up being used to tolerating shit, or you're the crumb gatherer chronically, we get really numb to what is sick and what is healthy and loving. Like we can't even feel it anymore. There's just like almost like nerve damage. We can't even feel what is sick and what's healthy because we have so little sensitivity because of just chronic wishy-washy boundaries. And therefore, treatment from others is less than positive and loving. It's often kind of borderline abusive and or abusive. I feel like a lot of if you have wishy-washy boundaries as a practice, which will come from one single relationship in your life, as within, as without. That doesn't even make sense, but it's the thing that keeps ringing through my head. However you treat yourself in all situations is what creates your worldview of yourself. And therefore, if you have one bad relationship where one person has bad boundaries with you and treats you less than you should be treated, it's the leak that creates your sense of self. It will permeate every other value system in your life. So it has to be consistent. You have to create the bar for the world around you and the rules of what you deserve and how you deserve to be treated. And they have to be consistent. And I wanted to address many of you in my audience who are the crumb eaters. I'm going to paint a picture, and I'm just going to describe it as if you have a person in your life who doesn't deserve you, meaning they don't deserve the situation that they are unable to enjoy. I'm going to call this person the cake eater because they're having their cake and they're eating it too. You are serving them cake and playing house with them, and you are simultaneously saying like, hey, can I have just more than these crumbs? Please, please. Because don't you think I should have more than these crumbs? I mean, I'm making you this cake. I'm giving you more cake. And I mean, you're not really giving me anything. Don't you think I should have more than this? And they're saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. I will totally give you more. But like, how dare you accuse me of that? I've done all these nice things for you. And they're shoveling more cake in their mouth. And then you keep saying, I mean, maybe if I do it this way, I'm going to make them a bigger cake and I'm going to serve it to them on a gold platter. Maybe if I present it to them this way, then they're going to finally say like, "Oh my God, you make the best cake and I'm so lucky and I can't believe you've been doing this for so long and like, ugh, you sit in the throne. I'm going to clean up these crumbs first of all and like thank you." Like we're expecting them to change their role spontaneously. But in reality, what we're doing is we're creating a system for them to just thrive and not have to do anything. So some part of us emotionally has reset that begging position. If I just say it differently, then they're going to change. If I just show up even bigger, then they're going to change. And when you stay in that role of gathering crumbs because you're just worried about losing them or you just want to keep them in the room, even if you're just feeding them cake. If we do that consistently and we ask them to meet our needs in all different ways, even though they have demonstrated with their actions that they're not only incapable, but also that their words never line up with their actions, what we are doing is what I call resetting the stage from childhood of the unmet need. We're resetting the childhood stage and repeating this problem that we think we can solve the same exact way. And the truth is, It is a underlying belief that we don't deserve what we're asking for. There's some part of our being that's saying, like, well, but it's okay. It's okay. We're showing ourselves with our actions. It's okay though. I mean, it's not that bad. I can totally tolerate this. It's fine. If I just work hard enough though, I will finally be lovable enough. There's some part of us that believes if we do something different, that we will finally be seen and finally be lovable enough. And so, because this is all very old, emotionally very old and very childlike in its dynamic, when we're adults and we're recreating this stage and we're tolerating the less than behavior, making it okay for someone else to treat us this way, allowing them the luxury of our affections, we have completely unbeknownst to us committed to living in like a death dream, basically. And by that, I mean like there's this dream where we don't know that the other person's dead yet, you know? Like, I don't know if you've had that experience where you've lost somebody and you have a dream and they're not dead. It's like that where but in your relationship, where you're like, I'm just pretending right now that you're still here and that this is possible. There's some part of us that is refusing to accept the reality, and in that commitment to say like, I'm just going to pretend, I'm just going to pretend, I can't accept the truth, I can't let go. Through that negotiation, we have also said, I am giving up on my dream, I'm giving up on me, on what I deserve, I'm putting my happiness on hold. And we're saying like, no, I think I'd rather eat crumbs. I'd rather do this than look at the pain of what's underneath acceptance and the pain of accepting that this dream is not real. And and if you have a reason for doing that, I get it. I've been there. I get it. But looking at the pain of loss and like accepting that the dream is not real, it can be sometimes in our life too much. It can be too much to tolerate, and we just have to keep going in the illusion and just make do. Totally fair if that is absolutely why you're making this decision. But if you're making it on a subconscious level and you are not fully aware of all of that, I want you to just start by making the goal to look inward, to look at this, to see this dynamic for what it is, and step back and let go of your job of fixing it and controlling it. That's the first just little seed I want you to I just want to plant in your head. Because if you always live your life from a place of reactivity, of fear of loss, of trying to just make do with reacting to somebody else and trying to fix something that somebody else is dictating that they have control over and you don't have autonomy in, we will always be shorthanded. We don't have any power. We have no control. We have no say. We've given all of our say to this other person. And separate from that, not that you should make your decisions based off of this, but separate from that, if you make somebody else's life great and easy and perfect, and they get to have all of the benefits of you in their life, and they're spoiled and they are not treating you well, it's just reaffirming that they're allowed to do exactly what they're doing. It's just reaffirming that they deserve all the goods, even though they don't have to do anything for it. There have to be consequences for bad behavior. You do not get to have all the treats, all the cake, if you are not acting in accordance with the values that are required by you to have all of those things. And if that person is to have you in their life, they have to show up and meet the minimum bar of treatment. And in order for that person to actually get to that knowledge, to really recognize that and see your value, they have to be able to witness you walking away. They have to be able to see losing you and feel that wall. They have to feel that boundary. It has to be enforced for them to even recognize, oh shit, what? I lost that person? What do I have to do to get them? Do I have to clean up all the cake everywhere? What happened? Like they have to feel that wake of loss. So if you are not in a power position right now, you can get there pretty fast. It just, all of this is an internal change. I've seen that internal change happen before. Everyone in the room can see it. It's like an instant, the the plates shift. The communication of energy is totally different, and everybody's like, "Oh, whoa, what happened?" Like if you flip a switch inside of yourself on how you feel about a situation, it will be instantaneous. It's like you can get all the power with just a mind shift. So all of that is the groundwork I wanted to lay for some tools if you are in this compromised boundary position right now. And I'm also sending you love because I know it's not a fun, easy place to be in. So, with that, this is part three, the how, the tools. But first, a brief word from our sponsors. Okay. Part one, the what. All right. Sorry, part one, the what. This is part three, the how, the tools. The first tool, how am I? This is a journal set of journal prompts. If you are a person who journals, I want you to grab your journal and I want you to think about yourself, your person, your individual as being a little warm space, a little room. And you are the only person in that room. And how you act in this room is what matters most. We're building this foundation from the ground up. So this is just you on you in this little room. Are you good with this person? Have you acted in accordance with your values? Did you show up for you? Are you proud of yourself? And if not, what can you do better? And the frame for this tool, being the room, is the most important thing for you to protect is that sense of self all the time. That thing has to be, you have to react to it live. Because if you don't, there is a toxicity that spreads very quickly where we can fracture a part of our self-definition and think like, ah, but I'm shady, but I don't deserve good treatment because like I did this shady stuff, you know? So I think of this as kind of a daily practice, a check-in, especially if you feel a little like burr in your soul, in your person, like something is sticking to you that you're like, I don't feel good about that thing. As soon as you feel that, investigate it, go into it. And I think it's really important, especially when you're in like a state of kind of individuating from family of origin. And by that, I mean like you're at the beginning of self work or you're in a very important moment in your self work where you're trying to like really solidify new practices, new routine, really heal from old stuff. It's like that is a time when it's super important to get really into your room. So I'll go back again to the prompts. You can do this at the end of the day or just do it as something comes up for you. How am I feeling about me? What is coming up for me in this situation? What's the question mark in my head that is making me feel not aligned with me on me? And just journal, like free associate, get all of it out and be really brutally honest about what has happened. I don't feel good that I did blank. I feel very conflicted that I did blank because it didn't feel good to me to be that way. The reason that this is a really helpful practice is because when we're defining boundaries and when we are showing up for ourselves and like building these barriers for ourselves to protect ourselves, it will sometimes upset other people. And sometimes the truth is a very uncomfortable thing. But if we are truly coming from a place of, I'm showing up for the truth, I'm standing by the truth, and I'm moving through hard shit, because that is the path to health and that is the path toward healing, it's gonna sometimes be messy. And some of the things we're gonna do are gonna be way outside of our comfort zone and they're gonna make us feel sometimes very bad, sometimes very guilty, but also sometimes very like, I don't even like being this way. I'm not comfortable being this way. We've been pleasers for most of our lives. So it'll be some things will come up will require processing and looking at that thing from three sides. So the journaling is a way to just process. I know I did this and it didn't feel good. And then I remember why I did it. I did it because I had to get to this place. That's the processing I want to invite you to bring about. And also, like, being able to say, I did not like me in this moment. Being able to say that in your journal to yourself is a way for that thing to now be externalized. And it's not like a part of the back of your head where you're like, ha, I mean, I'm fine, I'm fine. But you're secretly thinking, like, I'm a shitty person. That's what we're trying to get out. We're getting the muck out. And then the last part of the journal is what can I do better? If you didn't feel proud of that, what would I change? These are the greatest experiences because they change us. They change the way we behave in the future. That is like gold in your adult life. Is like I'm growing. I'm actually growing myself because I'm brave enough to look inward. I'm brave enough to process stuff that is ugly. That's huge. That is how you get big muscles. All right, next tool. This is I'm calling it a cheat sheet, but I don't have like many of the cheats. I'm just going to go into one example. For bad boundary loved ones, I'm just going to give you the recipe for an example situation. If you have a person who in your life who is not respectful of boundaries, maybe they don't even know what boundaries are, let alone do they see you and respect your boundaries. Like it's not even on their radar. There's a lot of people out there who have loved ones who are just fully paused and have never done self work or have ever gotten to the point in their evolution where they can even see you or what your issues are. It's all still about them. So if you have a person in your life who has no vision on you at all, and know that this is common, if you have a person in your life who has addiction problems, other people in your life will probably not see you because of the person with the addiction problem. That's just like one common thing because that person has sucked up the attention of other people because of all the emergencies. I noticed that that's a common thing with like, you know, a family where there's one person that's the identified patient, but then everybody else got invisible because of the identified patient. Anyway, if you had like a situation where you were invisible as a child and now you're invisible again as an adult, know that you you are allowed to protect yourself, and that is not mean, and that is not at another person. It is not in any way, shape, or form mean or cruel to them at all. And you are obligated. I remember I told you about the little room. You are first and foremost obligated to make decisions that protect that little person and that warm space and do not compromise your boundaries and do not put yourself into violating situations. And what do I mean by violating? I mean when you're feeling very uncomfortable, when you're feeling triggered, when you're feeling in a threat state, when you're feeling the heebie-jeebies, when you feel sick, when there's a pit of your stomach kind of like sick feeling. That's what my signal is to myself when I know my boundaries are being violated. It's like an unease, a feeling of like, I don't feel comfortable here. If you feel that way, that is not healthy for you to put yourself in those situations and deal with it. And you are allowed to say, this is the cheat sheet. I love you, but I don't feel comfortable. Or I love you, but I cannot attend. You don't even need to give a reason. It's not mean. I would love to come and visit you another day, but I cannot be at this blank because I just don't feel comfortable. This is not at you. It's just to protect myself. And if none of those feel safe for you yet, if you don't even feel convicted enough in being able to draw that boundary in an honest way, you are also allowed to say, I am so sorry, but a work emergency came up. I'm not able to make it. The end. You owe them nothing. You didn't do anything wrong. This is really about showing up for you on you. That is super important at the beginning, especially of a healing process, but also throughout your life. Like you got to show up for you. Otherwise, you're a perpetrator. If you are not protecting you, you're a shitty friend. And like wholeness, self-worth, and confidence are built through building a trustworthy and supportive relationship with you. All right, the next tool, leak check. This is a journal prompt, an inventory, and I want you to just look at all of your relationships of the people you keep in your life, of the people you interact with, including work people. All of them count. All of them are valid for this list. And boundaries have to be consistent among all relationships. We need to plug all of those leaks. And so, for this prompt, I want to ask you if there was anyone in your life who has not respected your boundaries, who doesn't treat you well, who triggers you, who doesn't respect you, doesn't act kind to you, is inconsistent, doesn't mean that you have to eliminate them completely from your life, but it does mean you have to create healthy boundaries, like a box around how that person interacts in your life so that their behavior does not tarnish or harm you in any way. And it will, if you don't do that, it reduces your bar for treatment for yourself. It reduces your self-definition. So if you are a person who says to yourself, but I don't care. I mean, it's not that big of a deal if a friend doesn't show up. If there are bad individuals, people with inconsistent behaviors, I said it again, as within, as without. It'll affect what you believe you are worth, and we need to be consistent because it shapes your inner world and how you allow treatment from all other people. It trains in your ouch. That's a term I use to refer to your sensitivity to bad behavior. A lot of us who had a lot of trauma or tolerated chronic neglect or misbehavior or addiction or whatever from parents had a chronic need to cut off sensitive feelings from like the neck down because it was constant, like constant alarm bells. So for a lot of people, like their ouch has been kind of numbed. Like you don't feel any like response to things that are like dysfunctional because the alarm bells just, you stopped hearing them. And that's why it is so important to be consistent with boundaries, is because we have to retrain our ouch. We have to retrain our reactivity to unhealthy behavior, and we have to do it so consistently. So if you have one person in your life who's behaving badly and you're tolerating it, it's making that the norm. That's the new rule for everyone. It'll mean that that infects all your romantic relationships, your friendships. It is a bigger problem than it seems. So you have to be consistent and it will make all of your other relationships better. All right, next tool. This is a frame I'm placing around a specific kind of experience. The burrowing shame bugs. Shame, as I brought up earlier, this is just like a visual for you. As soon as you feel shame around something that is related to that little room, that little warm space that is yourself, as soon as you feel something you're ashamed of about you, immediately move toward it. And you can think of it as like a little bug that's going to burrow under your skin and stay there and then get infected. It needs to be, you need to make amends with it immediately and process any misalignments in self-definition as soon as you notice it. It's not worth it. It'll keep creeping back into reasons why you don't think you deserve good treatment. And it's so guttable right at the beginning. And it's usually something that we have just not processed. It's like a misalignment in two beliefs we have, and they're conflicted. But if we process them out, we'll usually see like, I did this because I was reacting from fear. And in the next instance of this, I'm now choosing to do blank. We grow. All right. The next tool, present check-ins throughout the day. I love this because it's so simple and it's not new. I'm not giving you anything groundbreaking here, but like I think of meditation as something I do in very small increments throughout my day. And so I usually think of it as sometimes it's like a few minutes, I'm not even just saying that, like a few minutes. I'll just tune in and like be in the silence and be in the blackness behind my eyelids. And so I want to invite you to just do that throughout your day and tune into your body. Ask, how's my heart today? How is my mind right now? How is my body right now? And just like witness the answer and become really focused on that answer. Do it. It takes like a few minutes. Do that throughout your day. You can test it out right now. All right. The next tool, a stress check-in. This is a journal, another journal exercise. I think that one thing that is really key in our moving through life in a healthy way is our own friendship and alignment with ourself in the face of stress. When we are in a stressed state, and I mean stress as in like work stress, financial stress, like the chaos of your schedule stress, if we feel flailing and at the mercy of that stress, it is incredibly toxic to our body and it ages us quite dramatically. However, if we can just, this is like my little reset of this, of the frame around this experience. If we can stop in that moment and say, hey, let go of the outcome and just be a friend to us in that moment, in that experience, and say, I'm doing this, I'm moving through this effectively. How can I help you? How can I help you, me? How can I support you, me? And remember yourself as at the wheel of your life and just moving through it and letting go of the outcome and really reminding yourself like, hey, you're okay no matter what happens. I still love you no matter what happens. Just that reframing of the experience is healing and it allows you to feel much different about it. It's like changing your seat in that scene to like above it versus in it. Second part of this tool, when we are in the state of like setting up boundaries that are healthier, one thing that I want you to remind yourself to do is also boundary your lifestyle. Because a lot of us who grew up with caregiver roles or managing a lot of trauma, like we overfunction as a means to feel in control. And that is a chronic setting that we have to curb and teach ourselves out of deliberately throughout adult life. So I want you to check in on your stress level and ask, this is the journal prompt, what am I willing to put myself through? And is that good? Is that healthy? Is that kind? Like, what am I asking myself to do right now? And I especially invite you to do this practice if it's a time of high stress in your life. Is this kind? Is this friendly? Is it necessary? And a lot of what we'll have to do is remind ourselves like, it's not a fire drill. I have earned my worth. And my job is now to temper my aggression toward myself. Your job is, yes, you can do it, but should you? We have to, in many ways, curate a rewarding and relaxed and healing cadence to our lives. And sometimes it's helpful to have a role model for that. I part of the things part of, one of the things I loved about my husband when I met him was just his balance in his nervous system, like the way he designed his life around his what created happiness in his being, in his energy. And it was so foreign to me, just how kind of, I don't know what the word is. It was like a different clock, a totally different clock. And I remember thinking like I have to learn how to do that. I have to still watch and learn and be able to really prioritize things for the sake of joy, presentness, exploration, frivolity. My body trends towards survival, and that's just muscle memory I have to temper. And know that like your job is to do the same thing. You design the life for yourself. You create the calendar for yourself, and then you follow it, and then your body changes. also your happiness changes and your feeling of value changes. How you treat yourself becomes a bar for yourself in your life. So don't forget you in the part of the boundaries, like, and how you're boundarying the things you put yourself through. Be really honest with yourself about what you ask you to do. Okay, another stress tool, a little bit of the opposite kind, but I think it's also helpful sometimes, is remember that when you go through something very stressful, it's a stress memory frame. When you go through something very stressful or you go through something that feels dire and scary, especially when you're setting new boundaries, there is this feeling of like, oh no, I ruined it. Oh no, this is going to be so bad. Oh no, we're in such a bad place now. Everything, like we go into this dire, we can get triggered into this old dire mindset. And what I want to remind you of is you've been here before. This is an old place, it's an old perspective. It's not a new place. It's not a new plane. This is familiar territory, and it's often a sign of growth. And just take yourself back to the last time you felt that way. Remind yourself, oh, yeah, I did come here before. It was when I was in this pivotal change, and it was the beginning of blank. Just recall the time that this happened once before as a means to extrapolate. You are okay. All right, the next tool, I'm sorry. I'm not happy. If you are a person who thinks of yourself as codependent, I am guessing you grew up as a tiny adult and you are made to have a role of saver or caregiver or solver, whatever it is, something like that for grown-ups. And if you are a person like that, I'm guessing you also have very, very intense guilt, like crippling guilt around all things when you disappoint somebody else or you perceive yourself disappointing somebody else, especially a person that is in your family of origin. And so, if you are that type of person, you will feel incredible guilt even around feeling your own emotions. So, like, for example, if you are not in the emotional place that somebody else wants you to be, or you don't want the thing that somebody in your life wants you to want. Like we end up kind of swallowing how we feel and putting on a smile because we feel, I can do it. I can do it. Otherwise, I'm going to let this person down. So, this is for this tool. I just want to remind you like, if somebody guilts you, not in an overt way, but maybe in their behavior or their response to you for not being where they are, like the kid's guilt, so to speak. It's an old wound. And remember that that is a trap. That whole negotiation is a trap. And this tool, I'm sorry, not sorry. This is a permission slip I'm giving you to just be there and be in the truth. And it's not mean, it's just valid. There is a very strong likelihood that the other person is taking you very personally and will take you personally. That is their right to do. That is a symptom of their unhealth. And you can allow them to have the dignity of that experience. But it is not yours to control. It is not yours to fix. Your permission slip says you are allowed to be where you are because that is the truth of where you are. You don't just say like, peace out, me. Sorry, I gotta go be this person's saver. I know we were doing the whole room thing and we were doing this project together, but like, I'm out. I gotta go fix them. Like, that's not cool. That's not a good friend. Stay where you are. Be like, I'm in the room. I got me. I'm sorry. I don't feel like it. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling up to it right now. I'm a little bit down and I'm gonna go take a walk by myself. Whatever the thing is, like be there for you. You are first. Right now, especially when you heal and individuate and get healthy, then you can come back to this relationship with all the right boundaries and you'll know exactly how to navigate. And then things won't be as confusing. But, like, especially at the beginning of healing, we really got to be so strict and consistent with these boundaries. All right, the next tool for standing up from the crouch. If you're in that crumb gathering crouch, what would it take for you to stand up? What would it take you to move into that standing position? Right now, I'm inviting you in this tool to just become conscious of this system in your life, and whatever form you want to take it in, make a commitment to befriend you. Just make a commitment to this path. That's it. Say it officially. I'm going to show up for me. I'm going to heal. I want to change. That's it. That's all this tool is. If you want to write it on a nice little piece of paper and then burn it and blow it away in the wind, I don't know, whatever you want to do, but like just take that step. Make it a real goal. All right, the next tool, the effectiveness frame of self-blame. If you are in a place where you are compromised by a relationship, I just wanted to throw it out there. You're also going to be compromised in a lot of other capacities in your life, in your focus, in your diet, in your discipline, in your ability to be creative, in your ability to focus on all of these complicated tasks you might have at work. The reason for that is that boundaries are a huge drain of emotional energy, and they also occupy us in terms of our ability to feel grounded in ourselves. And we will constantly be in a threat state if we are in an unhealthy relationship. Like you might be constantly solving what another person wants, or if they're upset or not, or how you're hurting them by not making them happy, or you should be going with them. Like you're constantly dysregulated. If your boundaries are being violated consistently, you are constantly in a stage of dysregulation. There's all this weighing happening. So if you are in a threat state all the time, we can't resource blood glucose, which is like that really intense energy required for reflective thought, for creativity, for solving like complex problems. So don't be surprised if you're like snacking on like sugary foods, or if you are unable to focus on your work, or you have no motivation to like go to running at the end of the night. All of these things are require that resource. So all the more reason, like create that safe container, create that room, create that warm space that is protective of you, and that other person cannot penetrate that. And if they do, your brain is already in that triggered state. Your brain is already dysregulated. It's so hard to do all the other things. It's so hard not to like fall back into an addiction. All of these things are compromised by that one source. So it's like it's not you, it's not your problem. I mean, maybe there are other factors at play, but like keep all of this in mind. Keep this big picture and the context top of mind. Those are all of my tools. I hope they're helpful to you. Thank you to everybody who's left me notes on Spotify. If anybody has the time to give me a review on iTunes, I really appreciate it. Or leave me a note on Spotify. That's awesome too. If you want to make a donation, you could head to yaywithme.com or share this with someone it could help. And so glad to meet so many of you in my tiny little comment interactions, and sending love. If you're in this situation, it's a lot. It's a lot. It'll rock you and make you feel a lot of different things about yourself, but like the end of this path leads to all relationships being better. It's not like it's mean toward the other person. It really is the goal. The outcome is health and functioning for everyone. This change in you allows the other person to ultimately see themselves and hopefully change for themselves as well. But they cannot change through accommodating sickness. So in closing, back to mindfulness. Studies have shown you heal faster with mindfulness practices. It has a huge effect on your body, your aging, your happiness. It feels small, but small habits are how all change happens in your life. And so I'm just inviting you, try a few minutes tonight. Tune into your body. How does my heart feel? How does my body feel? How do I feel? How does my being feel right now? And throughout your day, just tune in. Do a little like check-in and be phone free as much as you possibly can. That's what I'm trying to do for myself. And that is a huge change. Just that little thing is a huge change. Tune in. What does my body think of this? Do I like it? If I don't like it, I'm going to help me. I'm going to get you out of here. I used to say that to myself. I remember saying that in the bathroom of like places being like, I'm going to get you out of here. Don't worry. And I would get myself out of there. You show up for yourself, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's going to make other people upset. Be there for you, and you will feel safe, valuable, and your whole life will rise to that level. I wanted to leave you with know that when you get more sensitized and activated and fed up around this triggering person in your life who crosses your boundaries, that is a sign of emotional health. It is exciting. It is a sign that your body is saying, nope, nope, not tolerating this anymore. No, thank you, not okay. And I know that in the moment it might feel really confusing. Like it was okay before, and why am I so reactive now? And it can feel like even worse, like you're more dysregulated when you formerly felt okay around this family. It's your health speaking, trust it, and remind you that it isn't forever, but it is when you're healing. You have to create that safety so that you can heal and grow up. And then from health, you can come back and know exactly where you end and they begin. But you have to show up and enforce boundaries to protect yourself. It's vital. And what does that even look like? Well, it's as simple as no, thank you. No, thank you, though. It's not mean. It's just, it is what it is, what it is. And if you're not in that full out stage of like setting boundaries, like if you feel really uncomfortable being honest and you're still in that pleasing position, know that you can just deflect. I think a great book to read is The Gift of Fear, and just that it teaches you how to like get out of relationships where someone's trying to like rope you into an old loop. Deflect. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to get going. Oh my God, my phone's ringing. I have to go. Like deflect, 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 and get out of there. You protect yourself by any means possible, and know that anger is your health. Anger is your body saying, "I need to keep you safe. I'm getting the germs out." And it will with time get clearer and easier, but for a little while it's going to be intense. I hope this is helpful to you. I send you my love, and smile.